They would take these huge, transports, and they're usually about anywhere from 15 to 20. Some of the big ones are 25 feet wide. They hook these ramjets all around them in a big cluster, spin them up using a rad pack, same things we use to power houses in a lot of the cities, and then hook 5 or 6 freight cars onto the back of it. Each freight car's got about 12 wheels on it, all bulletproof rubber and the rest of it. You just hook it all up with titanium and carbon fiber and spark up the rig, and they scream back and forth on the Autobahn anywhere between 400 and 600 miles an hour. It's kind of an amazing thing, really. I mean, driving a rocket rig would be something to do, but I mean, when you're having to cover that many miles, it's pretty dangerous. A lot of things that can happen and a lot of things that go wrong. You lose control of that rocket rig, there's no one who's going to help you. There's no one who can... Don't worry, there'll be people who show up if you crash, but they're not there to help. So, they're a society to themselves, the rocket riggers. I mean, they're all independently owned, family-run organizations. They sign up with different companies, and they live, eat, sleep, and breathe on these rocket rigs. They got gunners on them and weapons and whatnot. But, I mean, quite often you can't have that. Sometimes they have a whole family, like there'll be a rocket rig family. And they all live on the rig, and in case of an attack, the children get on the gun, and the wife will get on another gun, and everybody shoots, and the road killers come for them. That brings us to road killers. Just like you got pirates on the high seas, you got pirates on the highways. Road killers were the first ones, were just desperate people who needed supplies, money, food, whatever. Just trying to survive. It becomes very lucrative very fast when you're attacking transport trucks. So as technology adapted, so did the road killers. Road killers are nothing more than highway pirates. They have huge, rotting bands of vehicles, bikes that do high speed, nitrous packs. Some of them run electricity, some use old gas, some use waste gas. Most run on waste gas. Specially selected high-performance parts to help them do their job. Every road killer crew has a different method of trying to hijack a rocket rig. I mean, sometimes the rig will be barreling down at high speed. And they'll have bikes that can go fast as the rig can. They haul up alongside, grab hold of the sides of the rocket rig, and get up on top, try to gain entry, kill everyone inside. That's dangerous, though, because if you flip the rig, then you lose your front men. But you get the rig. Still, 600 miles an hour, you destroy a lot of your product. This is why the number one thing they want to do is try to slow it down. They try to slow down the rocket rig. If that rocket rig picks up anything on its radar, it's just going to crank out its speed to the max. I mean, it's pretty hard to get alongside of something doing 550 miles an hour. That's their defense, is their speed. So usually they'll set up a series of barricades and roadblocks and hopes that will slow them down. Now, that doesn't really work, of course. Sometimes, you won't stop one with a roadblock. A rocket rig will not stop at a roadblock. I mean, these things are, as the threat increased, so did the design and engineering of these things. I mean, they've got a ram prow on the front that can take a head-on collision with another vehicle doing, up to a certain tonnage rating. Just absorbs it and pushes it off to the side, They've even got rocket rigs that'll take a head-on collision with another rocket rig, and it's designed to push the other rocket rig off the side. And that's probably what happened to this one here. It looked older. From the way it's been shredded like this, I'd say it's probably hit another rocket rig, probably head-on, and the other rocket rig just pushed it off to the side. Those collisions don't happen often. Not on purpose, anyway. Sometimes pirates will get an older one and send it towards the other rocket rig, and the collision, of course, they don't care about. They just, wait for the wreckage to stop smoldering, and then they move in and clean up the loot. The problem here is that either way, you're dealing with a lot of steel and a lot of tonnage moving at high speed. It's a dangerous game. Rocket riggers have a radio net they use. It's like rocket rig radio stations that every rocket rig is hooked up with a repeater. Rebroadcast their signal as they travel. They're in constant chatter and communications like the old CB truckers. So everyone knows where everybody else is, and they have their own sort of traffic control system. They got radar that'll scope up 50, 60, 80, 100, 150 miles in front of them, depending. That way they can got a little bit of warning if you happen to come across something. Some of the big rigs, they can, depending on the unit, this is all variable. Some rigs don't have radar. That's pretty dangerous, though. You'd want to have radar, but the good ones, they get radar units put in there. Some can do 500 miles, some can even do 1,000 miles out. That's big bucks, though. But they make it. They make it. Everybody in the family is a mechanic. Now, road killers aren't the only one out here. You've got what they call road rakers as well. Road killers are just pirates. The road rakers are these communities that set up along the highway. The lions, the predators of the highways, these road killers, they would show up, take the prime stuff, and leave the rest to rot. They didn't care. They just showed up, raided, got what they needed and left. Well, there's still a lot of wreckage there. Road rakers are they're not bad people. They're just scavengers. You got desperate communities. They sometimes build underground and secret hideaways not too far from these autobahns. There's whole communities living under the desert. Or they'll inhabit an abandoned town. They take their waste cast bikes with makeshift trailers or buggies with makeshift trailers, and they travel up and down the autobahn and along the sides, sifting through all the wreckage, because, of course, no one cleans the wreckage out here. It just gets pushed off to the side and falls down the slope of the autobahn. So people pick through it, and sometimes road killers miss stuff. Sometimes they find some pretty valuable equipment out there. Engine parts, lighting, circuitry, wire. Wires are very valuable. Do a lot with wire. So they scavenge and get what they can. Sometimes they get food. Any wildlife that does exist, if it gets smacked on the autobahn, you wind up with stew. Scrape whatever's organic off the plasteel, and since there's a great lacking of bugs, you can generally bet it hasn't been too badly infected. Worst case scenario, you make waste gas out of it. But if it looks like you can probably eat it and doesn't smell too bad, they'll wind up making a stew. That's what they live on. They're not bad people, they're just people doing what they can to survive. They're in just as much a danger as the rocket rigs. If the road killers find a raker community, they rape, kill, do whatever they like with them. Maybe they'll leave them alone. Chances are they'll raid for whatever valuables they have as well. So the rakers and the road killers, they don't get along very well. A lot of outsiders don't get along with other outsiders very well. Here comes a rig now. Hang on, I'm going to leave the mic on, hunker down, listen to this thing go by. This is something. Listen.
This is DJ Marco, don't you laugh, proud on Rocket Rig Radio, and out here we know the truth about what's going on and making sure our product arrives on time and on target. Yes, absolutely, our weather reports say that yet another dust storm is going to be sweeping across the entire central United States. Nothing new there. Wonder why we even issue these reports. We all know what the road looks like. We know what the road looks like more than anyone else. Watch out on the autobahns, because you wouldn't want to hit any of them rakers, but as far as I'm concerned, they're just considered more roadkill. Stay tuned for further updates here on Rocket Radio, where riggers are rocking.